Police have laid charges after a boy was assaulted by youths in this park. The incident caught on camera and posted to social media. Now, a quick look at the weather here. Great day to hit a trail in Windsor, Essex. Low humidity, no chance of rain, and just a bit of wind. 23 degrees outside right now, looking like a pretty decent long weekend. Nick Sirkovich joins us tonight with a detailed look at the forecast. I'm Chris Ensing. Thanks for joining us. Some disturbing video posted to social media has led police to arrest and charge 3 youths with assault. The video shows the beating of a boy by a group of youths. Jacob Barker joins us from Superior Park, where the incident allegedly took place. Jacob, how are people responding to this video?
Well, Chris, it's obviously a very difficult time for the family of the victim and what they've been going through. We did speak with the mother of the victim this morning, but she did not want to do a formal interview with us. She did, however, confirm that it was her son in the videos and that it's not the first time that he's faced something like this. And I should warn you that the video that you're about to see is graphic. The videos are shocking. In one, a boy is shown seated on a bench, being approached by 3 others. After falling to the ground, they begin to throw kicks and punches. Difficult to watch, even more difficult to comprehend.
Many different concerns came to mind when it came to all of the onlookers, but also in addition to what would have possessed the 3 youth to act out this way, and then of course concern for the victim.
A post showing both instances where the boy was beaten was put up on Facebook. In one instance, police charged 3 youths with assault. In the second, 2 of the same youth charged with a further assault. While posting the video to social media did lead to the investigation against the alleged perpetrators, it may carry with it some unintended consequences.
You know, the Youth Criminal Justice Act does look at protecting the identity of a young person. So when we're broadcasting it on social media, that now becomes their digital footprint. I'm not in any way excusing their behavior or their actions or trying to take it easy on them. But we all make mistakes at some point, and I'm hoping that this was a very, very big mistake. And, you know, should they be penalized for it for the rest of their lives on the internet? Maybe, maybe not.
But it can also be a jumping off point for a conversation about a difficult topic.
We can use this as an opportunity to educate the future generation, to say there's going to be people that may act out in a different way that is different to you. You may not understand. It doesn't mean that we need to be rude to them or treat them differently. Maybe they just need some help.
Now, police say there was 1 further youth charged in connection with this incident. He was charged with carrying a weapon while committing an assault. Police say that he was trying to intervene during the first interaction. And just want to point out that none of the youth involved in this can be named under the Criminal Justice Act. And that's all. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Jacob. The CBC's Jacob Barker live tonight. Let's take a look here at the latest COVID-19 case numbers in Windsor, Essex. Friday is when the health unit breaks down the week with a full summary. This year is the big headline. After months of intense focus on outbreaks at local farms, not a single new case of COVID-19 among farm workers this week. However, 2 people died this week after testing positive for COVID-19. Both were women at retirement homes. One was in her 80s, the other in her 90s. That's now 74 people who have died in Windsor, Essex after a positive test. And right now there's 90 active cases where people have tested positive for COVID-19 in Windsor, Essex. The Essex Region Conservation Authority says that they are the victims of online fraud. They went public with the news this afternoon, losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in this process.
I can tell you that it was a highly sophisticated phishing scam that was executed against the authority.
For high amounts, too, it was through a pair of separate electronic transactions in July. The first for nearly $61,000. Then 2 weeks later, another transaction for about $230,000, both made to falsified bank accounts, the results of what IRCA calls, quote, a complex phishing email to IRCA staff in which the fraudster posed as an internal staff member. The OPP are investigating.
I can confirm that through the internal investigation that we are fully confident that there was no internal malfeasance.
IRCA oversees projects to limit shoreline erosion, restore natural habitat, and conserve the natural areas that are unique to Windsor, Essex. The money stolen, no small chunk of change. It's nearly double the budget increase for this year and 3% of the total $10 million budget for IRCA. They're working with the bank and insurer to see if they can recover any of the money.
None of the funds that were absconded were came from any of the donation money that came through the foundation. I want to be clear about that. Certainly, a nearly $300,000 theft from the of public funds is a deeply troubling and concerning moment.
No one has been charged. Mackenzie won't say if anyone has lost their jobs over this, but believes that there are lessons to be learned.
Particularly in this digitized era, and where so many people are working remotely through the pandemic, that there are these vulnerabilities that are out there, and we're very cognizant that after having gone through this, that we need to review our safeguards and certainly to make appropriate decisions and investments to improve them.
The latest unemployment figures are out, and there was some good news for Windsor. The jobless rate dropped to 10.1% in August. That's down from 12.5% in July. Nationally, the rate also falling. It's now at 10.2%. However, the pace of job gains is slowing nationally. In August, 246,000 jobs were added to the economy, down from more than 400,000 in July. The City of Windsor is pumping $10 million into the EC Row Expressway, the largest investment for the East-West Throughfare since it took ownership from the province in 1997.
Every day, up to 75,000 vehicles travel this stretch of road at peak commuting times. And the work that you see behind me today amounts to a full $5.3 million and is only half the work. In fact, the whole project is just a little over $10 million. But it involves a full reconstruction of the westbound lanes of the freeway between Dougal Avenue and Dominion Boulevard.
Mayor Drew Dilkins on hand for that announcement. Their crews are removing crumbling layers of the old road and topping it with new asphalt. The westbound lanes are expected to reopen by the end of October. In the meantime, multiple on and off ramps in the area will remain closed. Following the opening of the road in October, officials say that similar work will begin on the opposite side of the highway in the summer of 2021. The Ontario Superior Court has struck down Premier Doug Ford's mandatory anti-gas tax stickers. Gas stations now have the option to keep the stickers of their fuel on their fuel pumps or remove them as they see fit. The province, they brought this measure in during the spring of 2019 after Ottawa imposed a carbon tax levy in Ontario. It's one of 4 provinces that opted not to impose its own pricing schemes on carbon emissions. The province called the stickers a transparency measure to let people know how much the tax would cost them at the pump. Gas station owners that didn't display the stickers faced possible fines of up to $10,000 per day. A local filmmaker's award-winning movie will be shown in theaters across North America. Gavin Booth says it's another step for a movie that's already accomplished more than he could imagine. This is Last Call, a movie that had its Canadian premiere in Windsor last year, a one-take film, so there's no editing. The entire film lasts 90 minutes, no fixing anything in post. The film is centered on 2 characters, a man contemplating suicide who calls a custodian by mistake. Now you can watch the movie at Imagine Cinema in Lakeshore on September 18th. Now, I got a bit ahead of myself last night with the Ward 7 by-election debate. It will be happening next week. I told you it was happening last night on yesterday's show. Here's the correct date there, Wednesday, September 9th at 7 p.m. You can watch it on Zoom, but you have to register first. And the email is on the screen there, cfuwwindsor@yahoo.ca. All 12 candidates have been invited, organized by the Canadian Federation of University Women in Windsor. And you can see more on that story on our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. 4 members of one family have been killed in a multiple shooting in Oshawa. The suspected shooter was also found dead at the scene. Another person, identified as the mother of the family, is in hospital with a bullet wound to her leg. CBC's Linda Ward has more.
Family members and friends have been showing up at the scene here today, just distraught, dropping off flowers, sharing hugs and tears. They describe the residents of this home as a wonderful family. Family members and friends have identified the residents of this home as Chris and Loretta Trainer, both teachers, and their two older boys, Sam and Brad, their teenage daughter Adelaide, and younger son Joseph. Here's how they describe the family.
Kind, outgoing people, really, really nice.
So just shocking.
Yeah, it's very shocking. They're very happy, outgoing, very family-oriented people.
Police are not yet confirming the identities of the deceased until the coroner does their work, but they are saying that all of the deceased are from the same family, and that a 50-year-old woman who residents identify as the mother of this home, she is in hospital. She is recovering from a gunshot wound. As for the suspect, they say he took his own life, self-inflicted gunshot wound, and they're not looking for anybody else. They don't know if he lived in the home or was just visiting here, but a lot of this investigation has centered around a white pickup truck that was found outside of this home, parked in sort of a strange way with Manitoba license plates. Here's Constable George Tudos with Durham Police.
That vehicle that was located in front of the residence, it was parked the wrong way, facing oncoming traffic in front of the residence. That vehicle was seized by our forensic officers, so we are going to be examining that vehicle and trying to link that to this crime scene, trying to see whether or not it's the suspect's vehicle, was it driven by the suspect, who owns the vehicle. So there's a lot of investigative steps that we still have to take, but it is part of the crime scene.
The investigation continues here at the scene. Forensics officers have been going in and out of this home all day, trying to put together the picture of just what unfolded here last night as this community grapples with the loss of a family that's lived here, we're told, for nearly 2 decades. Linda Ward, CBC News, Oshawa.
Sunday marks the 25th anniversary of the killing of Dudley George. The unarmed man from the Stony Point community, part of Kettle and Stony Point First Nation, was shot by Ontario Provincial Police during a land standoff near Ipperwash Provincial Park. The trauma of that day is still felt by many in George's community. Some there, living on the land that he was fighting to take back, don't have safe drinking water or adequate heating. CBC's Ellen Morrow reports.
This is the road where Ontario Provincial Police marched down that terrible night 25 years ago on their way to confront a group of local Indigenous people who were trying to get their land back. The federal government had appropriated the land during World War II to be used as a military training camp, but it was supposed to give the land back, and it never did. So after decades, the local community was tired of waiting for the government to keep that promise. Once the OPP advanced in the chaos that ensued, an OPP officer opened fire, killing a man named Dudley George, hitting him near the spot where I'm standing now. We spoke to Dudley George's sister, and 25 years after losing her brother, the trauma of that night is still raw.
That was a great big trauma in my life, and it's led me to not be trustful of policemen. I can see them and just go right into a panic.
The community reached a deal with the federal government for the return of the land 5 years ago, but before it can be fully handed over, the Department of National Defense has to clear it of live bombs left over from the land's military days, a process set to take more than 25 years. Chief Jason Henry says the pain of losing the land in the first place and of George's killing is still powerful.
We've lost so much. We've lost language, we've lost culture, we've lost identity. And that is due to the loss of land. The more and more these things are uncovered, the more and more we face the truth of our past, then the more and more open people come to be able to move past that.
So 25 years later, there's a mix of emotions here. Deep, deep sadness at a past filled with loss, unrelenting resilience, and hope for a better future as society examines police brutality and systemic racism.
A better future Dudley George's family says he gave his life for. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Kettle and Stony Point, First Nation.
Another look outside out here, as it's been a beautiful day today ahead of the long weekend. Coming up, we're going to have your full forecast, but also look at some of the grape growers, the winemakers in Windsor, Essex, who say despite 2020 being, pretty rough around the edges, from the wine perspective, we might have something to look forward to. That's up next. "2020 has been a hard year to swallow for a lot of reasons, but here's something that might go down just a little bit easier. Winemakers here in Windsor, Essex, and across the country say that this year's vintage it's going to be really good. They say that the hot, dry conditions have been good for the grapes that they're growing, and that could translate very well into your glass.
So the heat adds to the maturation of the grapes, because we have a fairly short growing season because we're southern Canada, and the dryness really creates a stronger juice to it. So if you can picture what's inside of a grape, there's really three things: sugar, water, and acid. And as the berries develop, they go from being sour and hard to kind of soft and sweet. And so that sugar is the primary test of when we can pick them. So we have to pick them when they're around 18 to 20% sugar. So what this allows is a further concentration and not too much water. So when we pick them, the juice is going to be very, very concentrated. So this is actually going to be an amazing year for wine quality.
We're looking at something closer to 2016 or 2012 or 2010, which are all really like warm, sunny, ripe years, and years that in our kind of cool to moderate climate, we were capable of producing some really like rich, bigger bodied sort of reds, which is a nice thing in our region. We can't always do that in the cooler vintages.
And joining us now for a live look at the weather is Nick Sirkovich. Nick, I feel like this is the Super Bowl of weather forecasting, the unofficial end of the summer. A lot of pressure here.
Yeah, I know. And again, I'm going to say, remember the wonderful summer that we've had. Don't shoot the messenger. No, you know what? We do have a little bit of rainfall to deal with, of course, long weekend fashion. But for the most part, it's not going to be a bad long weekend. In fact, you know what? We've seen a lot worse over the years, so this is shaping up to be not too bad. 23 degrees right now in Windsor. Really nothing to speak of in terms of humidity. There's a look at the Humidex, and if you didn't notice, the map changed. I don't blame you. The name changed, but the numbers didn't. That's because there really is no humidity to speak of. Little breezy right now, but the wind's shifting out of the west. 20 gusting to about 30 kilometers per hour. We're going to see the winds sort of calm down tonight a little bit, down to about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour through the overnight period, and then they pick up again for tomorrow. Forecast-wise, we're looking at generally clear skies right now. We were tracking some showers, though, but they were just up north, sort of Kincardine, Goderich area, and then areas east of that. Otherwise, it's been a pretty good-looking day down in southwestern Ontario. Now, here's how the forecast plays out, though. As we move through tonight, look for generally clear skies. For tomorrow morning, we've got sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud. It does look like we may trigger off a few spotty showers in the region. Now, I think this model is overdoing it a little bit, so it looks like more rain than what we're going to see, but still some spotty showers across the region for tomorrow. And then as we move through into Sunday, we're looking at generally sunny skies there in the forecast, and it's not until sort of Sunday afternoon, evening, where this system starts to approach, and that's going to be our event for Sunday night and into Monday. Here's a look at your forecast for tonight. 12 degrees through the overnight, a little bit cooler there, mainly clear skies. Winds about 15 to 20 kilometers per hour. As we move through tomorrow, about a 40% chance of seeing a few spotty showers. Average highs for this time of year, about 24 and a half. That's pretty much right where we're sitting right now, or tomorrow rather, is going to be about 24, 25 degrees. So again, I do think we're going to see a few scattered showers. Don't think it's going to be a big washout event, though, for tomorrow. As we head through Sunday, actually looks a little better there. Temperature-wise, we're sitting at 25 degrees. We'll see a slight bump, though, in the humidity on Sunday as system approaches. Then what we're expecting to see is Sunday sort of later in the day through Monday. We've got the system moving through. It does bump up our temperatures and humidity, but as the cold front sweeps through, that's going to bring with it some showers and thunderstorms. Not necessarily an all-day event, but it does look like Monday's going to bring some wet weather. Tuesday and Wednesday, you got a few lingering showers and their temperatures kind of start to drop off a bit. But of course, who cares about Tuesday and Wednesday? All we care about is the long weekend. Right here, I'll move out of the way. Actually, you know what? Let me stand over
there. It is. There it is.
That's better,
That's
right?
how you do it. That's how you do it. That's beautiful. Thanks for this, Nick. Enjoy the weekend, bud.
Yeah, you too.
Now, coming up next, a media report that Donald Trump has been making disparaging remarks about members of the military. What are the latest details on that?
coming to the ball.
Series on the line. Anunoby got it off, and it goes!
What a buzzer beater. You blink, you miss it. The Toronto Raptors avoided falling 3 games back in their playoff series against the Boston Celtics. They did it in dramatic fashion. OG Anunoby hit a 3-pointer in the last half second of last night's game. Lifts the Raptors to a 104-103 victory. If they lost, the Raptors would have just been 1 game away from elimination. A media report accuses Donald Trump of making disparaging remarks about members of the military who've been captured or killed. According to the Atlantic magazine, the U.S. president has described them as, quote, losers and suckers. Trump says that the accusation is false. CBC's Steven D'Souza has more.
At the time, the decision seemed odd. The President of the United States skipping a ceremony to honor American soldiers killed during the First World War, blaming the weather, an event other high-ranking U.S. officials did attend. The President would appear at other events on that trip, but a new report in the Atlantic magazine says Trump rejected the first visit, saying he didn't think it was important, that the Americans buried there were losers, and that the 1,800 Americans who died in the Battle of Belleau Wood, a victory that lives on in Marine lore, were, quote, suckers for getting killed. The reporter behind the story stands by it and his high-level, unnamed sources.
He doesn't understand why one would go pay that level of respect to fallen American soldiers.
I'm pleased to announce
Trump dismissed the report and questioned the sources.
it's a fake story and it's a disgrace that they're allowed to do it.
The story highlights Trump's complicated relationship with patriotism and the military. He often touts his support, but is quick to attack anyone who criticizes him, including individuals with strong military connections, like veteran and former POW, the late John McCain. Ty Smith is a former Navy SEAL who spent 20 years in the military.
To me, his patriotism it's a show. It's no different than anything that he's been doing, over the last couple of decades on television. This is a big act.
These stories often bounce off Trump, but a recent poll of soldiers found, for the first time, most preferred Vice President Joe Biden over Trump. Biden, whose late son served, tried to contain his rage over the story.
President Trump has demonstrated he has no sense of service, no loyalty to any cause other than himself.
My stepson was not a sucker.
Veterans groups have already made ads condemning Trump's remarks, a sign that the military will be a rich political battleground in the lead-up to November's election. Steven D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
6:29 p.m. and that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. Just check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're going to leave you with another look outside here and some of the wildlife that you can find in Windsor, Essex. Power and Politics is up next. We're going to join that already in progress. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you and your family have yourself a wonderful long weekend.